it's Deborah. I am back and I am now trying to get Sindhu up on Instagram Live. So I am hoping all of those people who just left are coming back. It's the new normal with Deborah Francis White and my very special guest today, Sindhu Vee. Very exciting.
Yes.
So it should now say that the Guilty Feminist is live. So if you could, Tom, see if Sindhu can see that.
She sent you a request.
I haven't seen a request, but let's see. Yes, there we go. Okay. Hello, Sindhu Vee, in 3, 2, 1. Here she is. I believe in it. Yay! Sindhu is there. It's very exciting. You can't hear me? I can hear you. You can't hear me. Okay, Sindhu's got headphones in and she can't hear me. I'm not sure why. She can't hear me at all.
Oh, I can hear you now. Everything
Yay!
is great.
That's very exciting. So the first question on the new normal. Welcome to the new normal, Sindhu Vee. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. This is so new and normal.
It's so new. It's not normal yet. It's not.
No.
We're trying to make it the new normal, but it isn't. Because I want to be in the same room with you, hugging you. Because I did the last ever Guilty Feminist, not ever, I did the last Guilty Feminist live show with an audience with you. So I feel very bonded to you. And it wasn't that long ago.
No, it was
feels like a million years ago.
It was on a Monday, wasn't it?
Yeah. But it feels
and on Wednesday, I got corona.
Oh my God. So the first question,
March 18th.
The first question is, how the hell are you? You got corona on Tom's birthday. How has that been? My God. Tell me.
Coronavirus is not like the flu. It's horrible illness. The flu is the flu.
Yeah.
So it was not a good time. Today's day 3 of no fever. So
how many days did you have a fever then? Because this is
18th to the 1st of April.
Oh my God, who was looking after you?
My husband. Oh, can I just say right up front, I'm a feminist.
Yes.
But every time I looked up between March 18th and April 1 and saw a man, aka my husband, in the room with soup, stroking my back while I wept, I thought, oh my God, I love men so much. They're so strong. It was ridiculous. It was ridiculous. You know, usually I could be, and he kept saying to me, I haven't known you to be sick in 22 years. It didn't occur to me you were so fierce.
Wow.
And I was crying, and then I thought, oh God, this is not very feminist. You know, when you say, I fucking do everything myself, man. Oh God, not these days.
Wow.
Not these days. So yes, I'm a feminist, but yay, man.
And how did you lose your sense of smell and taste? Everyone says that happened.
Oh yeah. No. I mean, that's the so you lose. Okay, actually, for the people who are on this, let me tell you, you don't have to get a cough. That's the thing. That's the big. You don't have to get a cough. You don't even have to get a sore throat right up top. It'll come later. Mine came in the 2nd week, but you get body ache and headache, and then you lose all smell and taste. It's unreal. Like, but I mean, do you know what Tiger Balm is? You know how strong it smells? I took it and put it inside my nose. I couldn't smell anything.
That's what people say.
And you can't taste anything. So I mean, I could eat a shoe or I could eat pizza. No difference.
Wow.
Yeah, a bit more chewy, the shoe, but otherwise no difference.
Couldn't tell.
No,
that's absolutely extreme.
And, you know,
I would be so scared my taste wouldn't come back. Well,
I was very scared. But I think the worst thing is that the water starts tasting very metallic, and you feel nauseous when you drink water, and then you get really scared.
That's scary.
Because you think, I need to drink water, I need to drink warm water, because you're also so thirsty, and then it always makes you feel nausea. It's horrible. It's such a terrible thing. I got apparently the most acute version, but yeah. But then of course the body is so marvelous when it's like, okay, well, I've beaten this now. Then you turn the corner and it's like, look at me on day 3. I mean, look at this. I'm not the best I've ever looked, but I'm on this thing. And I'm not crying. I'm not crying 3 times a day out of pain. The physical pains are very bad. Oh God. When
what
you
pains
breathe,
in the body? Headache?
So headache, yes, but there's other kinds of pains that you're not used to. Like, for example, every time you breathe, you get, I'm going to show you. Oh, look, by the way, it says Fringe 2017. You get this pain here, like a stabbing. And
Yeah.
here on the sides and on your back here, every time you breathe, you think
Oh
you're like
God.
a lung cancer patient or something,
Oh
because
my God, Sindhu,
everything,
this sounds
everything.
so bad. I so hope I don't get this. This sounds horrible.
I
I'm
hope,
so.
I hope they find a well, either you get the mild version, like my husband did the first 5 days, you have a cold and a cough, you feel shitty. But I got, and I have lots of friends who have had that. I think those of us with kids, because kids are effectively asymptomatic unless they have an underlying disorder of some kind. So I think we all just got it. I mean, I don't know where I got it. And also, I came back from South Africa from the Comedy Festival on the 9th of March, and a flight from Cathay Pacific Hong Kong landed with me. Heathrow, they were not checking. Everyone just walked through.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's crazy. It's
Wow.
insane. It's insane. Just
The
making it.
world has turned upside down. The world's turned upside down. So, can I ask you,
Yes.
what are your coping strategies for staying emotionally and mentally stable? And this may not apply to you because you've been so worried about getting physically well. You haven't had the same quarantine experience as other people climbing the walls, because you're a very active person. You're a very mentally active person, emotionally active person, physically active person. That's what I would say about you. You're active in every single way. I've never had a conversation with you where you aren't front foot, driving it, talking about your kids, talking about this, talking about that, asking about me. Like, you're so active, and in the way you've come into comedy, you came in, you were like, right, how does this comedy thing work? And boom, suddenly there you are, live at the Apollo. You're such an active woman, and I feel like this is the only time that I've seen you ever talk about an experience of being passive and trying to fight something off. So you may not have had our quarantine experience because I can't even imagine, if you're well and in quarantine, you must be like, what is this? Because you have to homeschool your kids and
Well,
all of that.
I think one of the things is, people start talking about lockdown and stuff on the Wednesday that I got sick, and I became so unwell that it didn't matter to me whether I was inside or outside. I was in a very dark place in my heart. By day 10, I was very. One thing I will say, to all the guilty feminist people on this, and to you, Deborah, is that it's there is a world inside us, and we don't know to, or we don't remember to roam there, and I was forced inward into that world because my physical body was not moving to look at the outside world. And I went inside. I didn't want to, because, well, there's a lot of scary stuff in there. And I think roaming that world, I felt very lost. I think a lot of my tears were from recognizing all the rooms in that inside world that I wouldn't sweep, that I didn't want to look at. So I am a Hindu, as you know. And in Hinduism, there's a lot of chanting given to the physical body, given to health, given to protection. I got all those out of my mind. The recesses of my mind. I found on Google, I found the chants. I chanted a lot. I tried to meditate as much as I could, but it was very painful because meditation takes you deeper inside, and that's very hard. I was really at a loss for some days. And what I did was I reached out to my closest friends, the ones I've had since childhood. I texted, and I would urge anyone who's in that position, ask for help. Just text and say, I feel, it's one thing to be in your 20s and feel like you're done. And, people say I have suicidal thoughts, etc., those kinds of things. It's one thing to have children and not be able to see in yourself even a moment of light. And it's not because of Corona, but it's because of the acute physical waste that you're laid to. And then you go inside and all your guards are down, all your filters are down. So all the things that you keep at bay because you've been live at the Apollo, all the, you're doing so well in comedy, they come, and they must come. They are also part of my life. My life is not just my outside, it's my inside. So I had to, with the help of my closest friends, and took a great big broom and a shield and went and swept those rooms, and cried and cried and cried. And also for me, and I will say this, I've never said it in a public forum, but I feel that there's no reason now not to say it, is since November, my immune system has been made of grief and tears.
Mm-hmm.
Because, as you know, I lost my mother in November.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not surprised Corona came for me. I had not one defense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I felt that in a lot of ways it was a reckoning that was coming either today or tomorrow.
I'm so sorry for your loss. I dread the day I lose my mother. I lost my father some years ago, and it feels like, for me anyway, it felt like half of my unconditional love just vanished, and I was like, where is it? Where is it? What do I? Who do I do this for now? And I feel I just desperately want to give you a hug, and it's just like we can't be in the same room anymore, and it's so hard to like. Some of my friends have lost really close relatives and friends in this period, not of necessarily of Corona, although Jade and I were talking about somebody who died of Corona yesterday, but in how tragic that was for the people around. But people have just lost their relatives, and they can't mourn, they can't go out of the house, they can't have a memorial service, they can't hug people who love that person.
No, and I tell you something, I mean, not to turn this into a podcast about bereavement, but I will tell you that when I was in India in November, because of the way that our rituals work, I bathed my mother, and I dressed her up, and I combed her hair, and I put her bindi on her, and I put her favorite jewelry on her, and I washed her feet with turmeric, and I unbent her fingers to put on her favorite rings. And in those acts of just severe intimacy with the body of your mother, because in India we don't wait around. That's it. You passed away, you get cremated. That's it. So in those acts there was the value of touch, the value of speaking, and the value of understanding that the physical body of those who we love is the thing that we are most used to loving. You see? And so knowing that they are perhaps not there, that they're definitely not there in that body, but the body is there looking like your mother, or there's a real moment of reckoning, of understanding how important it is to have touch and be held. And I really feel for people now who may have lost someone and they can't get a hug, or they can't touch them. That's like getting an amputation in your sleep, and you wake up and you don't know what happened, who came. So I really, really feel for them. And so I think the point is that grief, the utter fury and sense of becoming an orphan that underlies grief from this kind of bereavement, Corona really lifted the curtain on that and said, come. So I was very acute, and I think I thought, I think that's what I was scared of, Deborah. I thought I might break into two parts. It's like, but when you have children, you can't break. Keep your shit together. Keep your shit together. And so I have to be honest, I don't mind saying it. I prayed. I sat and I prayed. I prayed to all our Hindu gods. I did Hanuman Chalisa, which is the 40 verses to Hanuman, who's the monkey god. Their 40 verses of protection. I did that. To be honest, I called my closest friends. I looked inside for something about faith, and I took paracetamol. That's what I did.
Oh, God.
That's what I did. That's what I did.
What a strange time we're living in. I feel, even though thank God, I have not had Corona, and nor has anyone close to me had a bad case of it, except now you're telling me how bad it was. I thought you had it in the way of like, some of my friends have had it like, oh, I've lost my taste, this is horrible, this is like, but you seem to have had it really badly. And I feel like even just being in quarantine, which I don't want to, you know, by any means compare it, but I feel like it's like the whole world is going through something very similar where we're all having to sweep the rooms, as you say, because you cannot lie to yourself in quarantine in the same way that you can lie to yourself when you're charging around London from a party to a show to a meeting to being told how great you are or an audience applauding for you or going into your very important office job or whatever it is that people are doing, you know, dropping the kids at school, dropping them at home again. In the meantime, I've got to do this. I've got to pick up this. I've got to make a cake for that. When that stops and you just are sitting in the same relentless four walls, you can't lie to yourself in the same way about who you are, what's important to you, what gives you confidence, what drives you, what you aren't, how you look. I mean, these fucking screens all the time, you know, we're constantly looking into these screens and I'm like, what, you know, things, I don't look at myself that much. I look at myself in the morning, I manage the mirror, I photograph better than I look in real life, as I suspected.
You always look so hot, and then you're like, how do I look? How do I look?
No,
Please,
I'm now seeing like lines everywhere. I'm like, oh my God, because I'm seeing all these things. And that's not important, obviously, but there is something about the sort of management we do of ourselves, the distancing of who we really are, what we're doing rather than who we are in the being. So I really, really relate to this thing that you're saying. You know, I don't really care about the lines. I'm just not about that. It's about the sort of distance between who we say we are and what we will admit about ourselves and what is really happening. And
Absolutely.
I think that what you're saying is so relatable. And I have not had corona. I have had the experience of the world having corona and having to be inside and the thing that might be coming and, you know, all of that fear and going out and trying to avoid people and smile at them so that they know you're not avoiding them, you're avoiding contact. And
oh man, yesterday I went for a walk outside my house for the first time since the 18th of March.
wow.
There were two people coming on the other side of the sidewalk. I thought, are these fucking people not going to move? Like, what's happening? There's hello. And then they got to like the tree far away. And then I literally sprinted across the street. My husband was like, that's a bit rude. I'm like, what? Rude?
No.
Are you mad?
No.
And then I was like, I said, this is not the time for me to do this English polite shit. I'm not doing it. I'm sprinting so fucking far from you if you're not going to come towards, if you're not going to stop. And so then there were people on that side. Spent the whole fucking time zigzagging.
I do it all. I think I'm going to get hit by a car.
Well, that's what my husband said. He said you're going to get hit by a
street.
It's the right thing to do.
Like, if you veer and I veer, if I'm coming towards you and I make eye contact with you, I'll go this way, you go that way. If you're just powering down and I'm trying to veer, I swear I'm going to get hit by a car. Do you know, Lo?
It's because I like you, I'm not walking into your face and coughing. What are you doing? Get the buzz off.
Yeah. Somebody's just suggested the merch store do a t-shirt every day and the proceeds go to the artist, or if the artist feels they have enough money at the moment, they can give it to another artist. And someone says your t-shirt should say no time for this fucking English shit. That's funny. I genuinely don't understand it. But last night, I'll tell you what happened. You know Kima Bob? Wonderful Guilty Feminist regular.
Lovely Kima.
Lovely Kima. She went home to Texas to visit her family, and then the lock-in happened. So she's ended up in Texas. And she's actually, I think, quite enjoying her time with her family. But at the same time, it's a lot of, so, you know, her community is here. Her Fuck It Up's here. Guilty Feminist is here. Her community of comedians are here. And so I took her for a walk through, because I was going on my walk. So I said, I'll take you for a walk through your old neighborhood. So we were chatting and she was like going, oh my God, this fox, oh my God, you know, like, and it was really nice. We were just catching up and we were going for a walk together because now I have to walk with FaceTime because that's the only person I can walk with. And this guy rode past on his bicycle and I knew he was coming so close. I was like, I know what he's going to do. He's going to steal my phone. So I just did that. And he didn't get it, and he kept going. And I said,
he came to steal your phone in the quarantine?
Yeah, but I
was fucking kicked his bike. I would have kicked that bike so hard. I was on the floor and then I kicked him.
Quite honestly, I was more worried about him breaking the social distancing rules than stealing my phone. I was like, you cannot mug someone right now because of social distancing. That's worse.
Well, I know, I guess.
I suspect, I'm kind of joking, but also my concern is I feel a lot of people can't pay their rent right now. And I think there is going to be more crimes of desperation. And like, I'm not excusing mugging, but at the same time, I also want to be empathetic because look, maybe he does that all the time, but I don't think so because he was very inept. So I suspect he got put off from his out-hour work his landlord he doesn't know his rights, and the landlord's saying we'll evict you, and he's probably looking after a bunch of other people, and so he did something that he was trying to sell this on eBay. So I felt bad for
Or
him.
he's just a dick.
He could just be a dick, but I like to also look at reasons. I just don't think it's anyone's first choice to steal iPhones, and all of the kids that I know.
Have you ever met a bored teenager?
Well, I just think the kids that I know that went to private schools or posh grammar schools, or even very good comprehensives, or have families who like support systems around them, either in education, family, whatever, then none of them have aspired to steal iPhones. And as far as I know, not one of them stolen an iPhone. And so I'm just questioning whether or not I'm not saying, listen, there are plenty of people from a socioeconomic background who are just, we would never do that, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Someone's saying, what does your mug say?
I held it up, dude. It's what says Wonder Woman.
Yes.
But I also have one that says Control Freak, and I think there's one that says High Maintenance. We have there's this company, and they do mugs, and so we put in all these things, and we got all these ones back, and yeah. So this is Wonder Woman.
Oh, that's funny. So somebody here says, Deb, you're so sweet, and Sindhu is like, I think the fuck not. I think the fuck not is another great Sindhu Vee t-shirt. Sindhu Vee, I think the fuck not. I feel like we've covered most, because you've had Corona, this is not sort of the same thing. Like, I can't really ask you like, oh, read good books lately, because you've been like with a really high fever.
No,
so,
I haven't done all those things.
You haven't done the quarantine things.
Yeah, but I will tell you what I did in quarantine, which I always say, oh yeah, if I had more time, I would do this. So I had like so this last maybe 6 days, I've had like 2 lucid hours a week, 2 lucid hours a day. One of the things I did was I meditated. Now I know that meditation and mindfulness is a big buzzword, now in the West, and fair enough, for all good reasons. But when I was in my 20s, I had decided that I would renounce, and I had lived in an ashram. Okay?
Wow.
So it's a long story. And my parents were a bit like, as quite devout Hindus, they were like, oh God, it's her calling. And my mother was like, oh, but she has to get married. It's fucking all my mother cared about. So I wanted to shave my head and become a Swami and live in the ashram. But I was very, very intensively involved with that stuff. So I actually had like an accelerated course in meditating and stuff, because that's all you did. You cooked, cleaned, whatever. And my job in the ashram used to be to clean the toilets.
Oh, wow.
And you never questioned those things. And it was, we had 4,000 people coming for the big programs. And I was head of toilet cleaning. So I was head of something. But when I questioned one of the older people, I said, why do I have that? Because it meant that I missed everything. I missed all the programs, because that's when people were in the program, you went and cleaned the toilets. And she said to me, I actually asked one of the swamis, and he said to me that when you have a lot of cleaning up to do, you get sent to do the jobs that are for cleaning. And I, of course, etc. Well, the reason I'm telling you this, Deborah, is because, and to everyone else, is the following, is that one of the things that I did in this quarantine was, initially I was forced, and then I did it myself, is I went inside to my inner world to clean. It says Snoop Dogg is going live. I have no time for Snoop Dogg. Sorry.
I have no time for Snoop Dogg, another t-shirt.
Exactly. And so I went inside, and I think it was on day 11, because, oh yeah, what I should say is day 11, 12, I started having trouble breathing. That's when I became very concerned. That day 11 or 12, I decided to close my eyes and just walk into the fear of what will happen. See, I don't breathe. See, I go to the hospital. See, I become a statistic. And I walked into that fear. Quite literally, I closed my eyes. And when you do a meditation practice, sometimes you do visualization. I did a visualization that I'm walking into my fear with the faith that I have done everything I could. I have been as good a patient to this family as I could have been. And we're going to walk into this. The liberation you get from accepting your fear and visualizing it and really sitting in it it's a very important strength.
Yes. Somebody here says, someone called Fran says, I can't go out, so I'm going in.
Yeah.
That is a wonderful way of putting it. I can't go
Yeah.
out, so I'm going in. And it feels like the only option right now. It's such an extraordinary time.
Yeah.
Is there anything you hope that the human race learns from this?
Oh, I mean,
as a race, not just as individuals meditating, but as a whole, all of us. What can we learn from this? What can we take forward from it, if anything?
I mean, human race, I don't really think in terms of my views on the human. Let me put it this way. Say that there's all these younger people around me, my children and their friends, and people in their 20s, this kind of thing. So I think what I think they will hopefully learn is that we are so acutely interdependent, regardless of, the world has come to a standstill. This is it. Whether you're very wealthy, whether you're very poor, whether you're objectively good looking or you're not, we are so interdependent on when we don't meet someone for 2 days and we're not allowed to meet another person, we start thinking this is not normal. This is not normal. Right now you could give people the option of meeting a complete stranger, be able to sit with them and chat to them, as long as they're not going to take their phone or anything. And they'd be like, yeah, fine, please, thank you. The interdependence of human beings to feel humanity. Maybe they don't understand the same Xbox games you're playing, but to understand humanity, our interdependence, it became so difficult to explain that to children who had their phones in front of them. It became so difficult to explain to children what it feels like you can't go out in the street and see anybody else. And now they're like, holy shit. I mean, my kid was saying the other day, she wanted to go to school. It hasn't happened in her brain. She wants to go to school. She said, it's just other people. That's really important, Deborah. And I know it doesn't sound huge, like, oh, I think the world will have learned that we're all, should be kind to each other. But I think it's such a basic building block that this generation of 18, 19, 20, didn't have a chance to really get their head around. And they have. And the second thing, which I hope all human beings, or at least everyone on this and me and you will really understand, is we have a real duty to cleaning up house. Because if you cannot live with yourself, you're ultimately useless to anybody else. Useless. Just clean house, and that's pick one practice. It could be anything. Pick one practice and work at it so that you're able to spend time inside and gain from it.
It's
because
like I'm doing Instagram Live with the Dalai Lama, to be honest.
Stop it.
You're so wise.
I'm not so wise. It's just that my mother always taught me so many things. She always said so many things to me. And I remember thinking, this woman doesn't be quiet. And now I know why. She's always in my head. So that's really what I think. I also think, by the way, even through my entire time of being sick, I made sure that the children were doing something for somebody else. And that I want to put that on top of my list, is that when you are reduced to nothing because you can't move, because your inner world is so frightening because you've lost your mother, it's just something you did not ever want to happen. If you can make another person feel less terrible about themselves, it's the only droplet of light you get in your life. Only droplet. Seva, which means work. Do work for others. Work for others. So,
even in this time, like just checking in on people who are on their own and connecting,
100%.
and you get so much from that. Like that's what I have learned. I think I've been charging around and, I'm trying to put all this stuff out there and, direct it here and here and here, but actually taking the time to connect with one person and just anchor yourself to that person. Are you okay? Am I okay?
That's it. That's it. It's really important, and really important. That I think is, and I've been saying that to the children, I've been saying it's the only way you'll ever really experience what it is to have the agency of a human body is to do something for someone else.
The agency of a human body. That's so good. That's so good.
You know, I mean,
Yes.
listen, there's so many animals, you know, and there's so many animals, but they don't have agency that we have. I
No.
mean, they don't even have opposable thumbs. Fuck agency. You know, and we have agency, and I
But
think
yeah,
that's,
they can't sort of sit and
they
make a
can't. No,
decision.
and they
Like
don't
I
have
see my
agency.
cats grooming each other or whatever, but they're not going, that'd be really nice for them.
Yeah,
It's much
no.
less
Yeah.
intentional than that. It's much more intuitive. Can we just say hi to Iris? She's 6 years old and she's a feminist.
Oh, hi,
And
Iris.
she's watching. Hi, Iris. Thank you so much.
Oh,
You're the future of feminism. You
yes.
really are. We
Oh my
need
God.
you.
Yes, we do. We do. And, you know, just, yeah, you're hyper cool. You're on this thing. Oh my God. Stay
And can
cool.
I ask you, people are asking for you to write a book, and I think that's right. People are
Oh,
waiting on your book.
do you know what? I wrote a chapter in the Unlikely Story. You know, a bunch of comics have written this book. It's on Twitter,
Yes.
where we all write a chapter. And
Oh.
and my chapter just went up. I'll put it on, I don't know, what's the way to get people to look at it? How do I do that? Do I go on there?
Put it on your story. Do you make Instagram stories
Okay.
or post?
Yes, yes, yes,
If
yes.
you put it on your story and you at the Guilty Feminist, we can share it here too. So
Yes,
either
so
look
that's,
on Sindhu stories or my stories or Guilty Feminist stories afterwards, and we'll post it.
yeah, that's fun.
Iris is beaming. Thank you.
Oh, Iris.
She says apparently she doesn't want older people to get the virus. We don't want that either. Iris, we're
No.
with you. We're 100% with you. We love you. Can I ask, do you have a feminist ask for us? Is there anything, because sometimes it's really easy to get through the day and feel a bit purposeless because you can't get out. Is there something we could do for feminism or the human race at large that you would like us to advocate for, amplify, donate to, anything like that?
I think the only thing I'd say is find someone in your world that you can help in some way. It could be a phone call. It could be, and don't go out of your way and be nice to someone who's not nice to you. That's not what I'm saying. This is kind of that kind of super Jesus Christ business. I'm not even saying that. Find someone, you know, there's so many websites. I have a newsletter that someone sent me from the American school where they've listed places. Do one thing a day that challenges you and is about making another person feel less bad or more good. That's all I ask. One thing. Because I tell you what, you'll help them and you'll do a little bit of sweeping inside.
Yes, I think that's absolutely wonderful. So find your passion, whether that be to support a refuge, whether that be to support Choose Love, sign up to Amnesty International, amplify somebody on Twitter that's working for a food bank, and connect in with a human being that you know. It could be a relative, it could be someone, an old school friend who's alone, or somebody you know.
Yes, and push yourself to do it a little bit, you know, like, oh, I do it I'll do it at 3. No, do it just, you know, do it then, because that's when you know it matters. When it does this to you, that's when you know it matters. And that's when you know you're alive, you're making a difference, because
People
that's so important.
Are so excited for this book. Someone suggested the title should be How to Life by Sindhu Vee. I'm so excited for this book too. I really feel it's going to come. What are you looking forward to most when this is all over and we can go back out as, you know, hopefully wiser and hopefully more connected and hopefully slower and more intentional? But what are you looking forward to? What do you miss?
I'm looking forward to throwing myself back into the world. First of all, I'm looking forward to gigging. Oh Christ, I'm looking forward to gigging. You know, so much to be in a room full of people and say something funny and it lands and they're on the same page as me. That moment of utter union. You know, where I spoke, you understood it, I was heard. It's just, you know, it's magical. And so I'm looking forward to gigging. The second thing is I'm looking forward to throwing myself into the world. It's been a very big deal for me, Deborah, to say on a public forum that my mother is no more.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Well, I don't, you know, I felt I couldn't really speak about my corona in my last 2 weeks without bringing it up. And you know, I'll tell you anything. Oh God. But I think for me to have now said that out loud in a public way means I now have to live up to that information being in the world, which means I have to be brave because people will ask me about it and talk to me about it. And I must bring out of the shadows my sense of um, my sense of missing her. And I must learn to live with that like a mature person and like a dignified person, which is what she would want, what she was like. So I think I'm looking forward to going out into the world, throwing myself into the world, and seeing if this newfound leanness of purpose and this kind of focus that in the last 2 weeks in that furnace, that was kind of made in that furnace, can I carry it through? Can I now live like this? Or am I just going to go out and become like, pizza muffins, all over again? Do you know what I mean?
I have no doubt that you will live elegantly, wisely, beautifully, and you will spread your spirit of comedy and joy and wisdom wherever you go. Sindhu Vee, if this is the new normal, you know what? In many ways, it's better than the old normal because it's more honest, more present, more here. And I hope we're back in the same room soon.
Oh, we will be. I know. I can't wait to hug you. And also this, look at you. Look at you. You've taken what is such an important thing, Guilty Feminist, and you've turned it into this moment where I see some of these comments, I look at you and I think I'm not alone. And that's not something I say easily because, there is my mother's loss to me is like the sky. It's the thing under which I do everything that I do. And for me to say I don't feel alone is, you have made that possible with this live thing. And so thank you for sure. Thank you for sure.
I love you. And thank
too.
you so much. Thank you so much. And everyone, thank you so much. All of you tuning in. Yes. We don't have an audience at the moment. Sindhu and I are missing our audience. And you saying these things and tuning in and watching us and connecting is so important to us right now. Thank you.
And thank you for giving me a forum like this in which to talk about what's happened with Mummy. Please come back and come back when you're feeling better. Because as we go on, we're going to have different moments that we can talk about and connect in. We're going to have different moments. And I really want you to come back. And if you're watching out there, next week we have May Martin and Aisling B. And we have Sarah Keyworth, Catherine Bohart. It's going to be so great. Oh, my God.
And I can't remember who else now, but I'll put it up straight away after this because I've got people the following week as well. So I'll put up who's coming next week. Tune in at 6 o'clock. It's on the Stories for 24 Hours, and we're going to put this will be on the Stories for 24 Hours if you want and to direct anyone to it. There might be people who are feeling similarly at the moment, and then it's going to be on YouTube after that, on our YouTube channel with The Guilty Feminist. And I think this seems like an historic moment, and I feel like we'll always look back on these interviews as a time where we were so present and other than ourselves. So we're all in a slightly altered state, and we're showing our humanity in a way that we've never shown it in public before. Our humanity, not just our vulnerability, like our humanness. It's a strange and terrible, tragic, and also in some ways fizzingly connected time.
It is, absolutely. And I will put up the book thing on your story or
anything you have that you would like to share, or you come off and go, oh, I wish I'd said that, or I wish
I'm going to put up the name. Yeah, I'm going to put up the name of a book.
And I'll share it. And also everyone should follow Sindhu Vee on Instagram, and you can see it on her stories as well. I love you, Sindhu. And I love you, Guilty Feminist audience, and I'll see you on Monday.
Thank you,
Guilty Feminist audience. 6 o'clock. Okay.
And also hi to Tom.
Oh, yes. Tom Selinsky. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody. Love you. Sign off from the new normal.
How the fuck do I get off this thing? What happens now?